Greetings my friends and welcome to a brand new nations guide, and today we're going to be looking at the Crimean Khanate. Now this one is a bit of a brute. It really is one of the more difficult nations to take on. It really is. But we'll be having a look in some depth at, for example, your economy, your allies, your enemies, potential targets. We'll be looking at what your sort of nation has in terms of its wealth and what you're able to expand and build upon. Your sort of foes, as I said before, but also your trading partners as well. You've got a couple of trading partners within striking distance, as it were, within easy reach of yourselves. But this one is, as I said, a bit of a brute, this one. But anyway, let's have a look where you start. And as you can see here, you start sort of jutting right out here into the Black Sea. And as you can see here, you do start off with a fairly large region here. So as you can see here, you really are, this is somewhat, I dare I say, almost two regions sort of split into, but it is one entire region, and a very large one of that you start with. However, it isn't really that sort of impressive when you look at it in terms of what it produces in terms of its income for you. So of course you've got a peasant farm here. That's an abundant yield. That isn't too bad at all, actually. So you plus 200 here to regional wealth and plus 2 to population growth, or 0.2%. And also this can bring your food in. You've also here got a minefield and a high yield as well. That's not too bad either. But look at that, plus 1,225 to regional wealth. That's one of the better ones you're going to start with. And again, then another high yield farm here. But that is about it. So as you can see, you're not really starting off with huge amounts, abundance of things to start off with. So you're going to really have to make do with what you've got at the moment. Really absolutely eke out every single gold piece you can. You've got a village here, Chikasi here. Now that could expand into quite the town here, as you can see on the border here with Russia. But we'll have a look at Russia later on. And of course here to the west of you you've got Ottoman Empire, but again to the east of you also have the Russians again. And the Russians are going to be a constant within this campaign here. They really are. And you start here right on the cusp, like almost within the port here, on the Black Sea here. As you can see, Sevastopol here, which is a significant port, even today is a significant port. And here we have here Bakashirasi. Here is your capital. I'm bound to say things wrong. I do apologise, my friends, but here is the Crimean capital. As you can see here, you start off with a military governor's encampment. Recruitment, as you can see here, is incredibly limited. Just Cossack infantry. You cannot get anything else at all yet. Then of course your infrastructure, where you don't even have basic roads. You basically have dirt roads, and that is pretty poor. So you're going to have to immediately get your basic roads up and running here. Your infrastructure is going to be absolutely crucial, because that's where your armies are going to be able to sort of move out quite quickly. But also your trade is going to move freely, and it's also going to increase your trade. And you also got the port here, Odessa. Again, reaching into the Black Sea. So Odessa, and also on the right here is Kerch as well, Kerch Peninsula. So that again got some towns and villages that might expand, some ports that might expand into some significant village towns eventually. Your army, not too bad at all to start off with at all. 2 Cossack regiments, a Cossack light cavalry, and of course your general here, Shahan Abbasi. But as you can see here, even if you get military governor's barracks, all you can get from that is line infantry. Now I know that is still a significant unit, especially at the start, but you can't get any cavalry. You cannot get any cavalry at all. Even the Cossacks are restricted because you need carbines to get them. So you need to be able to research carbines with which to be able to get your first cavalry unit. And of course, your artillery is locked behind research for those. You're not going to be able to get those because, again, as we discuss later, you don't have any research facilities. So again, you are being really restricted to what you can do. Light infantry is going to be good, but without that cavalry, without that mobility, unless you're able to keep this cavalry unit very much alive, you're going to be incredibly restricted to what you can do, at least for the first couple of years. So that gives you the basic outline of where you stand. So again, you don't really have a great deal for which to choose from. Now, if we go into, I think we'll just start with diplomatic relations here. And as you can see, we've got the Barbary states who are friendly with us. Because remember, we are sort of a sort of, pirate nation. So we're bordering on sort of that pirate nation. That's why they're friendly with us, Barbary states. Kindred spirits, as it were. Then we've got Denmark, again, indifferent. Now, Denmark is a long way away from us, but they're still open for trade here. They're indifferent to us, which is not too bad. Italian states are hostile, so that's a possibly potential flashpoint in the future. Louisiana are indifferent, possibly looking to maybe try and reach out further away from Europe, further away from sort of the Russian sphere of influence into the New World. That could be the Morocco are friendly as well with you. New Spain are hostile. Persia are friendly. Now Persia would be a very, very strong ally indeed to have. Can be quite wealthy as well. So that might be something you might want to look at there at Persia. Of course, you've got Savoy as well, quite near to you as well. And Venice as well, they're indifferent. So you're already looking at the minor nations. There's quite a few of them that would be open to business. Personally, if it was me, I would immediately strike out a friendship here and a trade deal with the Persians. That would give you some level of stability, but of course, that also give you quite a lot of angst in terms of if your port is cut off here in Sevastopol, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. If this is besieged, this port, you are in trouble because, of course, when you've got your land, when you've got your trade over land, as we have here with the Ottomans, it can't be cut off unless the town is besieged. But if the port is bringing in the majority of your income, then of course you're going to suffer. If it's sort of blockaded, then you really are going to suffer quite extensively there. If we move on to the major nations here, Austria are unfriendly with us, but look at the ability here you can to strike into the bargain here with these. Even the 13 colonies who are indifferent to you, they're not really bothered with you either way. Again, Prussia, not really bothered. Poland and Lithuania unfriendly, but again, that could be possibly turned around if you were to get a trade deal with them. And again, indifferent. All these are indifferent. Maybe Britain, maybe the Mughal and Maratha, maybe the Mughal Empire. That could be another one. A kindred spirit, as it were. So that same religion. So again, you're always looking for that edge. You're always looking for a nation that has similarities to yourself, that's not going to be one moment turning upon you in a heartbeat because there is some kind of difference between you. You need, in this sort of circumstance, when you're such a small nation, effectively trapped, not landlocked, but trapped between two incredibly powerful nations, then you're going to have to find that light within the darkness, as it were. You could find the Mughal Empire, could be one of those, and indeed so could the Persians. Again, kindred spirits. Now, okay, if you've got research, we've got nothing. There's not a thing. You can get common land enclosures and animal husbandry here, possibly, because you've already got peasant farms, but because you don't have the research facilities, you can't get them. So again, the research facility is going to really put you on the back foot, unless, of course, you can get yourself a town or a region with or the ability to convert into a town somewhere along the line. That's going to be one of the major challenges you're going to have here. It really is, my friends. And again, let's have a look at the government here. Now, the Tsar here, Devlet the First, not really sparkling here. But again, let's have a look. Tax income is only 522. 764 for the trade income, and others 1650. The only outgoing we have is the army upkeep here, which is only 980. So again, we've got nearly 2,000 a turn coming in here. That is quite exceptional. And again, here we're at war with Russia, war with the pirates, trade partners with the Ottomans. Perhaps getting the Ottomans as an ally early on might be a potential bargaining tool there in terms of keeping the Russians at bay. However, it might also have the reverse of that and turn the Russians against you even quicker. Now, our policies here, as you can see, tax levels are again slap bang in the middle. But again, if you want growth here, which is really stagnant in terms of money growth, then you might want to lower the tax levels for the nobility so you get some growth going in here and start turning that wealth around. Ministers. Now, that's a really poor head of government there. Chief Quarakai Bey here. But look at the candidates here you've got. This is a wonder. Bon voyant and harsh reputation. So he is an excellent minister here. Really, only 32 as well. Jahandar Salah. Again, status quo. Frugal and 50. So not very good with treasury. But management, not too bad at all. Again, Akbar al-Temiyat, harsh reputation and tactician, so might be good for the army. As you can see, the army is not in good stead here under this gentleman here. That's why it cost nearly 1,000 just to keep those few gentlemen there. Then we have Jahan Zubarawami, again already an excellent candidate for the naval position in the cabinet. Harsh reputation as well. And then we have, oh my goodness me, we still have Al-Malwahad here. Jihasuddin Al-Mahawaladin. So that there, nothing at all here from this gentleman. Not really going to add anything. So I would say that this gentleman here is probably going to be the best to replace the head here, which we will do. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Already +8 diplomatic relations, already started to turn things around with other nations, which is going to improve your chance of getting those trade deals and maybe even allies. Now treasury is excellent, +2 bonus, +4 to bonus the growth trade route, +4 to the town wealth, not bad at all. Again, justice, excellent, -9% of the town cost, but here the army. And this gentleman here is perfect, only 22. Akbar al-Temiyat, what a wonder. Army in here, look at that, already gaining a star. Look, I mean, look already the difference, -4 recruitment costs, +4 to land technology research rate, -4 upkeep costs, a wonder. And the navy here, we do have an, there it is, Jahan Zuburomawi. And again, he'd be perfect for the navy. I will slot him in there, and again, already gained a start, and again, the upkeep costs are down, and the tech research rate is up. That's exactly what you want. You're already turning around what you already have here. Hasn't made a difference, not just yet, but it might well do in the following turn. Again, Ottoman Empire over land here, which is good because it can't really be disrupted as yet. Now, of course, you're at war with Russia straight away. And speaking of Russia, that is going to be primarily your main target. As you can see, Ottomans surround effectively your south and west, and the Russians surround your north and east. So your scope, unless of course you're daring enough to go for Georgia and Dagestan here, which may not be the best, already you can eye one target here. Kiev, are not very heavily defended either. Now you do have here your Hashishin, and of course, look at that, look at the depth he's got here. Now of course he's going to be able to scout for you. You need to scout in and around Kiev, but you want to build this military governor's barrack as quick as possible. You get that line infantry in, get those Cossack line infantry in, and look to strike against Kiev. Now Kiev is going to open up a huge plethora of options to you, but there are pros and cons to that. Now if you take Kiev, you've sort of cut off the main path in from the Russians here. Apart from here, of course, they could strike from the east and strike in against you here, so you're going to have to be very, very wary of that. But if you do take Kiev, it's going to open up, of course, army encampment. It's going to cannon foundry, governor's residence. You get the infrastructure up and running here. They've got cannons, of course, but they can be dealt with. But also it gives you the ability to either build the mine here and even sort of dismantle this craft workshop, although that's probably going to bring in 600, and put in its place a school. And there's your research. There's going to be your research, but of course you've then got Moscow on your doorstep, and the Russians are going to be sending armies after you immediately to regain this back from you. Of course, you could also recruit some ships here, some sloops, and maybe even strike further afield. Again, but the majority of what is around you is of an ally. You're allied with the Ottomans, so you're going to be fighting, but maybe you could even coordinate your attacks with the Ottomans. If you see the Ottomans moving against Kiev, moving against the Russians, you might be able to have a force that can aid them, to help them, that could sort of keep the Russians at bay. That's another option. Again, you could even move through Ottoman territory and strike against Poland. Again, that's another option. Maybe striking against Poland would keep you close to your Ottoman allies, but again, then you would be possibly hit by both the Russians and the Poles at the same time. And if Poland does usually start quite aggressively, so again, you're going to have to keep an eye on that. But your main hit's going to be the Russians. And of course you could even go for the Don here. Cherkassk could be another option, but again, it doesn't really give you many options. Look at Cherkassk here. But Georgia does have a school, so again, maybe you could build an army here and attack Georgia, take Georgia. You'd be again next to your ally here. You'd have Dagestan here on your doorstep. But again, Georgia would be a perfect hit. Tbilisi would be perfect, because you'd have a school from that. You'd be out of harm's way. The Russians, of course, are in the Don here, but them coming across here, they might just bump into the Ottomans, might help you out here. So again, that's a number of options you've got. And of course, wider afield, depending if you take Kiev, you've of course got the Moscow possibly at disposal. Maybe even you could strike eastward from Kiev and start to move against the Poles. Maybe move against Moscow itself, maybe move against the Don. You've got a couple of options here, but are you restricted in terms of your immediate sort of strike points? Of course, as I was saying before, Georgia's open, maybe even Chechnya. But again, you're not going to get a great deal from Chechnya. But they might move against you because they are also interested in Tbilisi as well. So, of course, my friends, that is, you've got a great deal to consider. Now, of course, you could sort of start to move into sort of Italy, maybe even move into North Africa. Sometimes North Africa is a good choice because, of course, Tunis here would be possibly a good choice. A major city that can be converted, built upwards. But the Barbary states are friendly with you. But again, that's not really the case. You've also got a shipyard here. If you take out the Barbary states, I would also increase your sort of standing, your footing with other nations, because you're removing effectively a pirate nation. And of course, then you've got Kasserine here. You've got this iron mine here, only low yield, but still. And you could even wait then for some of these villages, some of these centres to start building themselves up again here. Kasserine. There's Tatooine here as well. You've got Tripoli, which is of course already got a fortification around it as well, and Sirte here, a trading port. Again, you've got a number of options. You are at least able to build ships and move armies out. Tunis could be another option there. That could be something there. Further afield, of course, you've got Spain, but you want to try and keep away from the major powers. Keep away from major powers unless you want to trade with them. Of course, you could trade with Britain, again, in a major power. Denmark, maybe, but they are a very, very long way away. So you're looking always within immediate vicinity. With Russia probably going to be a main goal. But I think looking back, considering, I probably myself strike at Georgia. Take Georgia for the school. If nothing else, that's going to help you with your thing. It also keeps you away from the Russians as well. Maybe even try and sue for peace with the Russians, unless it's only minus 45. So if you could get peace with the Russians, maybe trade them off for something, maybe pay them even, and try and get some peace, maybe time to build up and move against Georgia. Maybe send your hashish in here and move it towards Georgia to see what's going on here. And in the meantime, build up your forces, move against them, take the school, build up your research, that type of thing. But of course, I know there are many, many commanders who really do take a lot of risks. I like that as well. And they would probably move against Kiev here, dismantle this, build it into a school, and try and hold Kiev as well if possible with the force you've got. But again, that force is going to have to be considerable, mainly made of Cossack and mainly made of line infantry as well. But line infantry is a very, very good unit to have, especially the good stable force. And again, using your spy, using your Hashishin all the time to scout around, see what's going on before you do anything. But my friends, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please, as always, let me know if any of you have at any time played Crimea and been successful with it. I'm sure there are plenty of you that have done so. Again, please let me know in the comments. Let me know as well. And also, you're also letting others who might also want to have a crack at the Crimea as well, how you did it, how the start. I might even introduce a series at some point, maybe the first couple of turns, maybe the first 10 turns. I know that Legend does that type of thing. Legend, I don't know what does that, but he's brought this brilliant series out where he sort of goes through the first sort of 20 turns of a particular campaign on the hardest difficulty. I absolutely love that thing. So perhaps using something of that formula along, to maybe do the same here with these particular ones where you have the Crimea to start with, maybe the first, as I said, sort of 20 turns as it were, and see where it pans out. Maybe people could use that then to help them if they wanted to really dive in feet first into Empire. But I hope you've enjoyed this, my friends. As always, keep your comments coming down below. Let me know what you think. Whatever you do, my friends, please be safe. Thank you for your wonderful, wonderful support thus far. It's been absolutely incredible. You know, it really has been absolutely fantastic for all my campaigns. But whatever you're doing, please be safe. And until next time, my friends, bye for now.